This is Karine Jean-Pierre, the newest White House press secretary. As you may know, Karine is very special.
I just want to say a few words about how honored I am to be here with all of you today. I am a Black gay immigrant woman, the first of all three of those to hold this position.
You gotta love how she had to read how she identifies from notes in her binder. You'd think she'd know all of that off the top of her head by now, but whatever. And to mark this momentous occasion for the history books, Karine went into a 2.5-minute speech about why she was so important. Here are the highlights.
I would not be here today if it were not for generations of barrier-breaking people before me. I am obviously, my presence, I stand on their shoulders, which I know it's not easy. I have learned, I benefit from their sacrifices. When I did my first briefing, I said I would not be here. And I will work every day to continue, and I look forward to engaging, and I am forever grateful to them.
Wow, what a narcissist, right? But then, ironically, she ended her remarks with the following.
This podium, this room, this building belong to the American people. We work for them. It's not about me.
It's not about me.
So back in January 2022, Joe Biden, who repeatedly said during his presidential campaign that he doesn't pay attention to Wall Street, decided it was time to brag about Wall Street.
And by the way, the stock market, the last guy's measure of everything, is about 20% higher than it was when my predecessor was there. It has hit record after record after record on my watch.
When Biden entered office, the Dow closed at 30,930. On the day of his remarks about the stock market, the Dow closed at 36,236. So during that time period, the Dow increased by 17%, not about 20% as Biden claimed, but that's not the point. Cut to June 12, 2022, where the Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped 876 points in one day to close at 30,516, which, yes, is lower than when Biden took office. Womp womp. So, if President Biden can talk about the stock market when it's hitting record highs, he certainly should have an opinion on it when it's low, right? So Peter Doocy from Fox News asked Karine about it.
President Biden once bragged about the stock market hitting record after record after record on my watch. How about now?
Meaning the stock market.
All the gains from President Biden's time in office have been wiped out.
So, as you know, we're watching closely, but the way that we see this is that the American people are well positioned to face these challenges because of the economic historic gains that we have made.
Ah yes, the economic historic gains.
And we are incredibly focused on doing everything that we can to make sure that the economy is working for every American people.
Every American people. Got it. She reads from a script about as well as Joe Biden does. And what gains is she referring to exactly? The record high gas prices? The 40-year high inflation? The negative GDP in the first quarter putting us on the edge of recession? Not to mention that in 2022, the markets have had their worst first half of a year in decades. That includes the S&P 500, which fell more than 20%, the worst drop since 1970.
But we are coming out of the strongest job market in American history, and that matters.
We are coming out of the strongest job market in American history. Wait, what?
And that a lot of that is thanks to the American Rescue Plan, which only Democrats voted for that, Republicans did not, and it led to this economic boom, this historic economic boom that we're seeing with jobs.
Didn't it also lead to historic inflation?
No, that is not how we're seeing the American Rescue Plan.
So Peter Doocy points out that the American Rescue Plan led to inflation, and Karine's response was, "That's not how we see it." Of course, she couldn't say that it didn't, because the majority of economists will tell you that it did, including former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, who called it the least responsible macroeconomic policy in the last 40 years.
The American Rescue Plan, which only Democrats voted for that, Republicans did not.
Fact check true. It was the Democrats, and the Democrats alone, who are responsible for nearly $2 trillion in spending that wasn't even needed. But keep saying it, Karine, because it's definitely going to help make a difference in the midterms.
What is the latest update the White House has received on the current infant formula situation across the country?
Yeah, let me see if I have anything new for you on that. I think it's been a couple of days since we have been asked that question. Okay. I don't have anything new. I know we made some announcements last week. I just don't have them in front of me.
20 seconds. She couldn't find anything regarding the baby formula crisis in the binder that she prepared for 20 seconds, and then she just gave up. And sadly, when it comes to the Biden administration, her incompetence is par for the course. The baby formula crisis, which occurred under Joe Biden's watch, happened largely in part to a bungled FDA investigation that led to the shutting down of an Abbott manufacturing facility, and that investigation led to a voluntary recall of several products, including Similac, and both the recall and the shutdown led to large shortages. By the end of May, out-of-stock rates climbed to 74% nationally, and 1 out of 5 states was 90% out of baby formula. So on June 1st, after empty shelves Biden had a virtual meeting with CEOs of several baby formula companies, Biden spoke to the press.
Well, I don't think anyone anticipated the impact of the shutdown of one facility in the Abbott facility.
Mr. President.
They knew it immediately.
Didn't the CEOs just tell you that they understood it would have a very big impact?
They did, but I didn't.
So when the plant that produces most of the country's supply of powdered Similac and is the main producer of specialty formulas like Elecare closed down, Biden didn't anticipate that it would have a very big impact.
Well, here's the deal. I became aware of this problem sometime after April, in early April, about how intense it was.
Again, the plant closed in February, and Biden wasn't told about it until at least early April? Let's play that back.
I became aware of this problem sometime after April, in early April.
After April would make more sense, considering that the Biden administration didn't take action until mid-May. In fact, Joe Biden didn't even mention the words baby formula publicly until May 13th.
I'll answer the baby formula question because all of a sudden it's on the front page of every newspaper.
In other words, people are outraged about not being able to feed babies, so I guess I should finally say something about it.
Could you have taken those steps sooner before parents got to these shelves and couldn't find formula?
If we'd been better mind readers, I guess we could have, but we moved as quickly as the problem became apparent to us.
This is a massive failure of government. So much so that the press corps couldn't ignore it anymore and turned to the president's gay black immigrant spokeswoman for answers.
Did the president have any conversations with any cabinet secretaries or the FDA commissioner once he was confirmed in February about the formula shortage before April?
Look, as you all know, the president spoke to this yesterday, as more abnormalities were seen in supply and sales started to decrease in April, and because people have asked about this, senior White House staff made the president aware of the problem, and this was in April.
Saying that senior staff told Biden about it is not a sufficient answer. The press wants specific names so that someone can be held accountable, and not getting that answer is clearly frustrating.
We ask you to go back on the issue of who briefed the president on baby formula. To say there is no specific person is not a satisfactory answer. When you have senior assistants to the president, there's a paper trail, I'm sure, about briefings to the president. There's a domestic policy council. There's a chief of staff. At some point, we need to know who would have been the most likely person to talk to him.
I think what I'm trying to say, there's so many issues that come up that is presented to the president, as you know.
So the question was, who briefed Joe Biden on the baby formula issue? And Karine Jean-Pierre's response was, There's so many issues that come up.
And there are just regular channels that happen that go to the president.
It just looks like it's evasive to not have the most senior people in the White House willing to say, I had a conversation with the president about it, or we talked about it in this context or that context.
It looks like the White House is being evasive? No, Kelly. They're being very evasive.
We're also trying to understand the information flow in this White House, and it's important for us to get that answer, which is why we're going to keep asking it until we get that answer.
No, you have every right to keep asking. That's why I'm here.
In other words, you can keep asking Karine questions, but she's not going to answer them. So we'll get back to the whole baby formula thing in a minute, but first I'd like to present Karine's response to the very first question that she received in her capacity as White House press secretary.
Do you view your primary role here as speaking for the president and promoting his interests, or are you commit to providing the unvarnished truth to the American people so that they know what their government is doing on their behalf?
I actually think that's hand in hand. I don't think there is any separation to that. The president believes in truth and transparency. That's what he expects from us. Clearly, we are here to talk about his platform and what he is doing to deliver for the American people. But he wants to make sure we're doing this in a transparent way, in a truthful way, in an honest way.
So for clarity, Karine is promising that she's going to provide truth and transparency in not only a transparent and truthful way, but also in an honest way. And it only took 17 days to completely throw it out the window. Here's Karine continuing to evade giving answers about the baby formula crisis.
You were asked earlier by a few people, I want to just ask this again with all due respect.
Yeah.
Were you able to speak with the president about when he was informed in April?
He talked about it himself. He said he was informed in April. So I don't think I need to, the president mentioned that, he said that, so I don't need to clear that up.
So Ed O'Keefe's question was, when was Biden informed in April? And Karine's answer was April.
The idea that he was told about this in April, and then it didn't get elevated until mid-May, when Congress and when the press started raising bigger questions about this, begs the question of, well, then what happened in April? Because normally in these situations, we're told, oh, well, here's what he wanted to know, and here's who he tasked with doing it. But we're not getting that this time.
No, look, we've laid out timelines over and over again.
Well, you gave us 2 dates. Well, and then tell us generally in April he was told about it.
Okay, so by late, let me try again. Let's try this again.
Ed O'Keefe is so pissed. And you can see how flustered Karine is in her response.
By late in April, sales were going down and shortages were appearing. So that is what we learned in late April.
Except Biden said that he found out in early April, but then Karine, reading from her binder, said that the White House and President Biden learned about it in late April.
But again, the sales were going down and shortages were appearing in late April, and that's when
that's what he was told?
Well, he said in late April, right? And this is
he said April?
In April. I'm sorry, in April. Okay, he said in April, in early April. The point that I'm making is...
But great job, Karine. You're doing God's work. So it's not just the baby formula crisis that the Biden administration is being shifty about. It's also about the coronavirus. In the last 3 months, at least 17 people in Joe Biden's direct orbit have tested positive for the coronavirus. And that includes NIAID Director Anthony Fauci, aka Science himself, who tested positive for COVID on June 15th. So each time there's a high-profile COVID case, there has been concern that Joe Biden may have been exposed. And throughout his residency, the White House has offered information on the last time that Biden was tested and the results of each test. Supposedly, they were all negative. But recently, the policy seems to have changed.
When was the last time the president was tested for COVID? And can you please give us more guidance on why the White House isn't announcing these tests unless we ask about them?
Well, the president has a regular testing cadence determined by his doctor. As we have said many times, if he were to be a close contact, as defined by the CDC, because that's what we follow, we would update his testing cadence accordingly and share that with all of you with transparency, clearly.
So Will Weiser of the Associated Press asked, when was the last time Joe Biden was tested for COVID? And Karine Jean-Pierre's response was, he is tested regularly. Why can't this broad answer a question?
Yeah, Peter.
I want to follow up on a couple questions. First, the AP asked you, the first question out of the gates was when the president was last tested. We just didn't get an answer to that.
I did. It's a regular cadence. That's what we do. We will share this. We will share per CDC when he is a close contact, and he has not been a close contact. If you were a close contact, we will let you know.
So that we're all on the same page. The CDC describes a close contact as someone who was less than 6 feet away from an infected person for a cumulative total of 15 minutes or more over a 24-hour period. So instead of Karine Jean-Pierre saying that Biden was not in close contact with someone infected, they are using the CDC's terminology that Biden was not a close contact. So let me get this straight. If Joe Biden is less than 6 feet away from someone who has COVID for, say, 14 minutes and 30 seconds, there's no need to worry. Got it. But then again, these are the same people, the same organization that claimed that you had to wear a mask when you were alone outside taking your dog for a walk.
Please keep wearing your mask, even when you're out walking your dog. Right, guys?
So walking your dogs outside without a mask puts others at risk, but infected people standing next to others for 14 minutes and 59 seconds doesn't. It's science, America. Don't question it. Anyway, the little game that Karine was playing was not appreciated by the press corps, including Peter Alexander of NBC News.
Again, I'm just confused because in the past you guys have always told us the date of the most recent test, so why can't you tell us the date of the most recent test?
Well, right now, I'm telling you he has a regular cadence. I just don't have a date to share with you, but he does have a regular weekly cadence.
Oh, I see. It's just a big misunderstanding. She just doesn't have the date in front of her, right? Right?
We trust that as soon as you find out today, your staff
We
will
will be transparent about that. But he does have a weekly cadence. I just don't have a day in front of you of when he was last tested.
As soon as you go back there and find out the date, you'll share with us, you're saying?
I'm not saying that. I'm telling you that he has a weekly cadence.
Oh man, I don't know how much more of this truth and transparency I can handle.
That's my question. Why has that changed? Because in the past they always told us.
Well, we have always said it's a weekly cadence. We have always said that.
Fact check false. When the press asked when Biden was last tested, the White House Office of Communications always gave a direct answer. Here's the communications director, Kate Bedingfield, back in March 2022.
You know, I will get you the date. I want to say, I actually want to say it was yesterday, but because I think we announced it publicly yesterday. So I believe his last test was yesterday, and yes, it was negative.
Was that so hard? And then Peter Alexander pointed out that even Orange Woman bad Jen Psaki would have given him a straight answer.
But Jen would say it happened on Tuesday, just yesterday he had a test, or on Sunday he was tested, it was negative. So for transparency purposes, we know he has tested negative. Recently, when was the most recent negative test?
He tested negative yesterday. The president.
That's how you answer a f***ing question, right? And Karine is so bad at her job that when Peter Alexander wants to wrap up and move on to another topic, Karine thinks that she needs to have the last word.
Please understand that we're requesting to know as soon as you can. Tell us when the most recent test was, acknowledging it's a recent test. Let me ask you, we saw the letter that he wrote.
I'm already telling you he's get tested regularly in a weekly test.
But I'm saying our request continues. So the gist
and I'm telling you that he gets tested weekly. Okay.
So not only is Karine Jean-Pierre the first black gay immigrant woman, but she's also the first broken record.
Right now, I'm telling you he has a regular cadence. He does have a regular weekly cadence, but he does have a weekly cadence. I'm telling you that he has a weekly cadence. It's a weekly cadence. He gets tested once a week. It's a weekly, it's always been a weekly cadence. He gets tested weekly, but I'm saying to you right now, it's a weekly testing cadence. He's get tested in a weekly test. And I'm telling you that he gets tested weekly.
Really quickly, just following on Peter, has the White House changed its policy on how much he will disclose
to
us about
it's not. It's not. I was asked, has he been tested? I'm saying that he gets tested weekly.
No, the question was, when was the last time Joe Biden was tested? She is so bad at her job.
He's different than the past.
Well, you're asking me when he was tested. I'm saying that I don't have a date for you at this time.
But you're also saying you're not going to share with us the date.
Well, because he gets tested weekly.
All this is doing is making it look like that the administration is hiding something, which forces the press corps to keep pushing back.
You just know that he gets tested weekly.
If he has not had a close contact, you're not going to tell us the date of his most recent test.
I'm telling you, he gets tested weekly.
Why is there
Yeah.
no patient though for that?
I mean, okay.
This is different than in the past. Yeah, I don't get that. We have previously been told when he got his most recent test.
Man, even Asma Khalid from NPR is like, what the hell is happening?
Not to belabor this too much longer, but can you articulate a little bit when the White House is committing to releasing results of the president's testing? Because it's not only the cadence that we're asking about, it's when the last time he tested negative.
No, I understand, and so what I'm trying to say, and this is in consultation with his doctor. The president has a regular testing cadence.
Blah, 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 blah. And this forced Matt Visor from the Washington Post to stop beating around the bush.
Has he ever tested positive?
No, he has not. Not that I know of.
Saying Joe Biden hasn't tested positive, as far as I know, calls into question just how transparent the administration is actually being on anything.
We would share that. I think that is something we would share.
So they won't share the date of Biden's last test or the results of that last test, but they're totally going to be 100% honestly transparent and truthful if he contracts the virus. Yeah, he's probably had it. That would be my guess. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, sharing, and slamming that like button. As always, be sure that you're still subscribed to the channel, and I hope to see you next time. If there is next time.